Origin and evolution of the Grim Reaper. Hello darkness, my old friend. A few symbols in history have such a profound impact on us as the Grim Reaper has. Most people are dying to meet him. But who is this mysterious and menacing figure that represents death's universal inevitability? And why is he up to this day so intriguing? Welcome back, my fellow Mythusiasts. There is a popular saying that only two things in life are certain: death and taxes. Well, since taxes are a bit boring and out of scope for our channel, we choose to focus on the Grim Reaper for now. An iconic embodiment of mortality which cuts across time and cultural boundaries through the chronicles of mythology, art, literature, and pop culture. For thousands of years, various cultures created figures that characterize death. A popular and timeless character among them is the Grim Reaper. Some individuals describe seeing the Grim Reaper at the foot of their bed or during a near-death experience. The figure is described as wearing a hooded cloak, often faceless, but occasionally a skeletal figure is visible underneath. Mr. Death is a frightful character that never fails to captivate the imagination and gives us that scary, fast-forward thought about what's coming for all of us. He is typically portrayed with his scythe to reap human souls. This portrayal was influenced by the Bubonic Plague, or Black Death, first broke out around 1347, and which swept throughout Europe in the 14th century and claimed countless lives. Roughly 1/3 of Europe's population overall, with some regions of the continent suffering significantly more casualties than others. This period of suffering was known to be the worst pandemic in human history. Therefore, it is not strange that the survivors created this popular image to symbolize death that was all around them. But why the skeletal figure? Why the scythe? And why the robe? The Grim Reaper transcends cultural boundaries and has developed into a timeless symbol of mortality. The skeleton unmistakably represents the rapidly decomposing human body after death occurred, and universally evoke a chilling recognition in everyone. The robe is a reminder of the era of those gowns religious leaders wore during funeral rites. And the scythe is a fitting representation of historical agricultural methods, as harvesters used them to gather or harvest ready-to-be-picked crops from the ground and the cutting of life's thread. And as you might sadly know, when people pass away, there is a belief that they are sort of harvested to get taken off this planet. It is believed that each movement of the scythe reaps thousands of souls that are leaving planet Earth. Various cultures have added their symbolic elements, contributing to the multifaceted nature of the character's representation. For example, in addition to the scythe, he is often portrayed carrying an hourglass, symbolizing the finite nature of time. Death is most often personified in male form, although in certain cultures death is perceived as female. For instance, Marzana in Slavic mythology, or Santa Muerte in Mexico. The Reaper is revered to as the most significant of all guides who came to Earth, a soul collector, a messenger from the beyond, and a messenger of the dead. Judging souls is not the Grim Reaper's job, nor was it the entity's responsibility to facilitate or hinder mortal affairs. Simply put, his job is to guide the dying to their ultimate destination, where they would be assessed appropriately by higher forces, by making themselves visible to them. While it usually visits those who are almost or already dead, it has been observed that the creature occasionally kills someone intentionally. However, this is often done out of malevolence. Owing to the creature's ambiguously human appearance, numerous stories exist in which the entity can be duped or bought out to release a victim. This is likely the origin of the term cheating death. Generally speaking, the Grim Reaper is perceived as an inevitable aspect of human existence, impossible to reason with or change its mind. The legend of the 3 living and 3 dead is often considered the earliest known European depiction of an animated skeletal death figure. This narrative has variations in French, English, Italian, and German, with its likely origin traced back to France. The earliest manuscripts, dating to the 13th century, feature poems by 2 unidentified writers, Baudouin de Condé and Nicolas de Margival. The legend unfolds as 3 living individuals, a duke, a count, and a prince, encounter 3 corpses in varying states of decay. Paralyzed by horror, the living recognizes the corpses as their ancestors or even reflections of themselves. The deceased, delivering a haunting message, plea with the wealthy men to turn from their sins, declaring, "Such as I was you are, and such as I am you will be. When the day of your death arrives, riches, honor, and power are nothing." Several ancient myths give rise to the idea of a personification of death. In Greek mythology, Thanatos, the personification of death, who was frequently depicted as a winged, melancholy figure, represented the certainty of death, and he played a significant role, as did the Roman god of death, Mars, who had a similar function in Roman mythology. Here is an interesting fact for you. The gender of Mars sparks debate. Latin calls it feminine, but Roman art usually doesn't portray death as a woman. Unfortunately, whatever death's gender may be, it comes for all of us in a variety of forms. The Grim Reaper gained even more notoriety thanks to the medieval notion of the dance of death. In this artistic motif, death was shown as a skeletal figure who was leading people from all walks of life in a dance that represented how death affects everyone. A gruesome spectacle, it featured the Reaper calling forth a host of spirits from the dead to dance along graves. Notable participants in this dance included a pope, an emperor, a king, a child, and a laborer. These figures were chosen to serve as a reminder to the audience that death was a universal concept that could affect anyone at any time, and that the religious people of the Middle Ages used it to criticize those who placed a high value on material possessions. The Shady Reaper became a mainstream and popular figure, recreated in a variety of ways, catering to the changing preferences and sensibilities of each age, from classic paintings, video games, cartoons, music, to contemporary films. The public perception of the imaginary character has been significantly shaped by the visual arts and cinema. Think about Skeletor in the He-Man series, who also show strong resemblance with the Reaper. The Harvester of Souls became well known in literature, as several writers used the character in their pieces, like William Shakespeare with his representation of death in Hamlet, and Ingmar Bergman's in The Seventh Seal. These legendary interpretations, which examined philosophical and mortality themes, gave the figure greater depth and complexity. It keeps altering in response to changes in society, from representing rebellion and counterculture to acting as a reminder of the fragile nature of life. And there you have it, my fellow Mythusiasts. In a nutshell, the Grim Reaper emerges as a powerful symbol, a manifestation of our perpetual dance with mortality. Crafted from the very fabric of human fears and reflections, this iconic figure draws inspiration from ancient mythology as a touching metaphor for our own momentary existence. Over the years, the Grim Reaper's story has changed because people have been trying to understand and deal with the difficult but unavoidable mystery of death. Stay curious, stay adventurous for more meaningful episodes about mythical creatures, but be careful. The truth is sometimes scarier than fiction. Until next time.